What's up, comic fan?
Hey! Oh, we're
You lost
back.
Dan. I'll bring him back in.
Ah, there's Dan.
Jared's trying to pretend like he's frozen up.
He sucked,
We
Fry.
can hear you breathing.
Oh my gosh, that was so hard to hold that. I was like, is this gonna work?
Oh,
Didn't
Gemma
work.
laughed already. My job is done.
We got Gemma to laugh and smile.
We'll freeze frame at the end, like when everyone laughs at
laugh.
the end of a TV show.
Oh, we're gonna have a
Hey.
good time.
Well,
We
welcome
are. We're
everyone.
gonna be
welcome
doing-
Crypto Comics Nation. Welcome everyone to Comics Through the Ages panel. We have a fantastic panel with us today. I would like to make introductions. and each panel-
Wait. Before we do introductions, I gotta tell everybody that we're gonna be doing some awesome giveaways. We have badges. We have everything. It's gonna be great. Okay.
Oh,
Now,
okay. Wait,
now, go ahead.
So now I go?
Yep.
Now.
No, I'm just kidding. No, go ahead.
Wait, right now. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That'll
So I'm going to make some awesome introductions. First, I would like to introduce David Lilly. David Lilly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is David Lilly. I started making a comic I wanted to make in 2005, Dreamkeepers. And now that is what we do full time. So if you want to check that out, go to dreamkeeperscomic.com. We also run Vivid Publishing, where we're getting more authors to put out more awesome stuff. Crypto Comics has been very helpful with all of this. And we are also, I guess I founded CouchCon. This year I had to step down from chair due to some fun and adventures, but it's going good and I'm still able to chip in a little bit. So that's me.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Very
Next,
cool.
I would like to introduce Darren Davis. Please, Darren, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I feel like this is an AA meeting. Hi, this is Darren. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Darren.
Hi, Darren.
It's okay. We're all alcoholics here. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
Cheers.
Gemma looked at the camera
I was
confused.
warned. No, I am the publisher of Midway Productions. I've been in November. It was our 20th anniversary, which you guys were so gracious to host the event for us. Yeah, we've been publishing for 20 years. We've done everything from, working on the 10th Muse to doing Tech War with William Shatner to doing the Tiger King. And I'm really happy to see Jen and Bill here, which are my comic parents, who, when we started publishing 20 years ago at Image, they really taught me so much about the industry, and it was super fun, and I'm so glad to see them. So, and we're still doing comic books to this day. Yep, we've done over 1,200 titles. So,
That is incredible.
Nice.
That is incredible.
That's great.
And I'm gonna segue the introduction into Jan Utstein, and then after Jan, I will introduce the others. So go ahead, Jan.
Okay, so I'm Jan Utstein, and we have our company Hurricane Entertainment, where we have published comics on and off for many, many years, including Chassis through Image and the Snake Plissken Chronicles through a lot of companies and so forth. And our most recent comic now is Violent Messiahs. Oh my God. Through Image and IDW and so forth. So most recent comic is Next, Dick from Outer Space, which is a really fun comedy piece that William will tell you more about at the end. We're at the show here because William ONeal, Gentleman Nerd, is represented in the vendors area. And please go check out. He has some amazing artwork, including the Harrison Ford piece that you see behind you.
I love that. Oh, I want that so bad.
And when I'm not having fun making comics and doing panels, I work at Marvel Studios in my spare time.
Excellent.
Spare time, she says.
Like she has any. And then I would like to introduce William ONeal. William, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm William. I'm a freelance writer and illustrator. I've written and or drawn a lot of those comic books. I am the artist of this piece here, which you've probably seen on the internet. This is always my best-selling piece, and it's been bootlegged a lot. I'll occasionally find it on I found it on a Spanish website recently for like about Harrison Ford, and they took my art. It's cool. It's a compliment. Yeah. So I'm currently working on. I'm doing a lot of writing right now. I'm writing a TV pilot for Vexed. I am also working on screenplay, and I am actually starting my first novel.
Oh,
Nice.
congratulations.
So, and
Wait,
I'm also
hey, Bill?
I'm got a
Bill?
piece of art. Yeah.
Aren't you the guy from Star Trek? Aren't you the guy from Star Trek?
You know, I wish Riker had a catchphrase so I could say it, because it's like, you look like Riker, and the best I can do is, yeah. And then they asked me to do that sitting thing, you know.
He does cosplay every now and then.
Yeah. There's pictures of me online. If you type in Commander Riker, I'm always like maybe the 6th picture.
Excellent. Next, I would like to introduce Gemma Young. Gemma, please tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Gemma Young. I do comics, so I both write and draw comics. So I have my main series. I have 2 main series, I guess. I have Children of Elder, which I both write and draw. It's a fantasy adventure comic, and it has like 120,000 subscribers on Webtoons or something. I don't know. And I also I write the webcomic, or the comic Temerity, which is drawn by Chad Hardin. And so that's a collaborative project that I'm working on, and we're actually going to kickstart the 2nd issue in January. So we're really, really excited about that. When I'm not working on comics, I do also like enamel pin designs, and I enjoy doing art books and helping people with their Kickstarter. So I've done the art of Chad Hardin art books and the art of Starbite. So those are a couple of books that I have done in the last couple of years.
Wow. Excellent.
That's
So cool.
Next, I would like to introduce Jeremy Berlay.
Yes.
Jeremy, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Comic book artist, writer, self-publisher. I'm currently working on the final issue of an 8-issue series called Morningstar, which retells Lucifer's fall from heaven as a Western.
Yes, I love that.
Oh,
Now available on Crypto Comics.
Yeah.
It is good. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Dan Cote.
Hey, how you doing? Hi there. I've been giving you a tour of my house because the audio's been really weird from you guys. It's like you sound like bats flapping wings simultaneously or something. So I
That's
found a
not the
spot.
first time
Dan.
we've been told that.
Yeah, I found a spot. It's working. No disturbances so far. But yeah, I'm Dan Cody. I'm an artist and recently started doing some writing. I'm a dabbler in all things, so I'm probably the least professional of all you guys out there. But
I don't know. Jared's on this stream.
Okay. But anyways, yeah. I co-created Zen Intergalactic Ninja back in I want to say 87 because that's when I started it. I didn't think it got published till 89 to be honest, but time is a blur to me, so it doesn't matter. I just did it a long time ago. Right now I got a new book that's on Crypto Comics called which is a lot of fun. And I'm working on another mysterious concept that I'm not ready to announce yet, but I've been at it for the last 3 months. So
We're patient.
It's super fun and cool. You'll know all about it when it is done. But I'm pretty close to done. I'm thinking the end of December I might unveil that.
Oh, wow.
And by the way, hello, fellow panelers. It's cool to see you guys.
So I just wanted to cover something real quick for anybody who wasn't there when I was giving instruction at the beginning. This is a panel. We do encourage conversation. Just mark that you want to say something with something like a raise of hand. That's generally what I do, but that's not what you have to do. Other than that, I will let Matt start us off with an excellent question because he's so good at it.
Oh,
All right. So since it's Comics Through the Ages, I'd like to know kind of what was your first foray into comics?
Is that
Mine was
directed
a
anyways
stumble.
for-
I stumbled.
No,
into
it's
it.
okay. David, let's start with you.
Okay, I guess
David,
I'll.
I want to hear from David. He had his hand up first.
You guys have to do the that punches
There you
through all the
go.
noise. So. I'll try to be relatively quick though, because my first comic isn't necessarily anything to write home about. I was 12 years old and I was in church every week and I was very bored, but my parents would allow me to pull out a briefcase and draw during the sermons. So I started doing that, and I started to make. I got tired of just sharks and dinosaurs and robots, so I decided to take it to the next level, and I made a little comic. Actually, I think it's funny. The title of the comic I made was Tech War, and it was about genetically enhanced super marines that were fighting against a global terrorist threat, which I did not think would turn into the 2000s, but I guess it did. And so that was what I did, and I stapled it together, and that was my first comic experience. I think I did Tech War all through high school, so there was like 7 issues of that, and that's how I got into comics.
Huh.
Even as a kid, you were an overachiever. Amazing.
I just needed more friends.
All right, Dan, what about you?
My first foray?
Mhm.
Well, it was absolutely Zen Intergalactic Ninja. I had no idea how to make a comic book, and Steve Stern was the writer, and he approached me based on an illustration that I did, and that's what I mean. I stumbled into this because I really had no clue what I was doing. That's why it probably took so long. It took me like a year and a half to do my very first book, and I did it all in airbrush, which was another foolish move, but. That's how I wanted to do it. It was I felt, we were doing a science fiction story, and I felt like airbrushing would give it the kind of vibe that I was looking for. But anyways, that was my first.
Wow.
I'll go next.
Okay.
All right. I also drew comic books, my own comic books, like in high school and then in art school. My first professional, during art school, I would do it in between the art assignments, the work. So I did it as a relaxing thing. Like if I could get one issue done, just a couple of pages per semester, then I could go through the class at the end of the semester. Like here's what I was really doing as opposed to my homework. And my did for a company called Personality Comics. Back in the day, there was a company that got the biographies and comic book form, and I did one on the TV show The Outer Limits. That one was a lot of fun. I did one on Joe Montana, which was really difficult because every panel had like football team, and I had like 2 weeks to draw the whole thing. So that was exhausting. And I did one on Marilyn Monroe. I did one on another. I can't. It's been so long ago, but I forget. I did it on another celebrity, but he got some sort of like cease and desist from athlete, but the book was published, so some stores put them, but some didn't. So that was like my first book to ever go up on the wall for like $50. I saw it in like somebody's comic book store because it wasn't supposed to be there anymore. It's like, look, that's me. I broke the law. And you're making money off of it. Awesome. And then I met a friend of mine who had this idea for a book, and we started working together. And he was the co-creator on Chassis, and eventually I met Jan, and we started up our own company, Hurricane Entertainment.
Wow.
I'll go next.
Right on. Go ahead, Jan.
I went down in 1986. I went down to Comic-Con because I was working on an enormous film project and had this idea that while we were putting together this puppetry plus CG animation plus live action film, which was kind of early in technology to marry all of those successfully, I thought, you know what, why don't we do some comic books? And we had I was partners with a 3D animation company, and I had this grand idea to do something called Romics. Romics, because CD-ROM was the big thing in the 80s, and why not? And so I went down there to learn about the comic book industry. I went down to San Diego Comic-Con for the first time to learn about the industry and do a Romix series. The Romix series never happened, but William and I met. And before I knew it, I was the editor and letterer on his book Chassis. And soon after, we started our own company and published Violent Messiahs. So that's kind of how I fell into making comics. And then I taught Darren everything he knew. Or everything he knew.
I remember going over to her house scanning.
I'll jump in.
Like,
my earliest comic creating experiences were in high school.
Oh, wait a second.
Just
Sounds
so
like we
you
got
know,
a bit of
guys,
a delay.
there's a massive delay, so that's why that happened. Sorry.
Also, I can't see anyone because for some reason on mine I can hear all of you, but the screens are all blank, guys. So I see all of your titles, but I just have big blank screens.
Oh no!
Oh no!
This is gonna be difficult, but we'll work through this.
So you
Don't
don't-
worry.
You ever see my Prada suit?
But yeah, early, I was in high school, and my friend of mine joined a local comic book creative studio in Fullerton, California, and even though the friend that I joined with was my writing partner, I ended up brainstorming this idea with a comic book retailer who was also interested in writing, named Jim Murdoch, and we came up with this idea called. It's a Horrible Life, and basically it was a twist on It's a Wonderful Life, where a guy goes to commit suicide, but he's actually a loser, and he wouldn't have made anyone's life any better, but because an angel intervened in him committing suicide, a devil then appears who was supposed to say, well, the only reason why his soul doesn't go to hell is because you interfered. So he should go to us. There's this whole big litigation between the two of them. So now he's forced to go through life with an angel on one side of his shoulder, a devil on the other side, and they're both jerks. So that was my first comic. I was the artist on that, and that was my first. I think we did like three. Well, they were published in anthologies. We had 3 chapters in an anthology series. That was my first comic creating experience.
Wow. All right. So, Darren, what about you?
Darren?
Yeah.
Me?
Yep.
Yeah. No. Okay. I actually started 20 years ago, as I said, in November, and I actually got my start before that in comic books. I was working for Lionsgate, and I wanted a better job, so I ended up getting hired by Wildstorm, and with Wildstorm, got taken over by DC. So I ended up working there for about 2 years, and I think that's kind of where I met Jen and Bill. And then I started, because I was representing artists, getting them jobs outside of the comic book industry. And then from there, I got let go from DC Comics because they didn't really know what to do with me. So I ended up representing all these different types of artists and the biggest people in the industry, which I was waiting on lines to get their autographs probably a year before. So like Jim, it was like all the top cow people like Andy Park and Kucha and all these people, and I got covers for Jan and Bill for Chassis for Randy Green, because Joe Mad used to be so slow as an artist that I had to get somebody to ape him, kind of sorta. So Joe Mad, the guy that does Battle Chasers and all that stuff, and then I was watching these people as I was representing them. I was watching these people creating their own properties, and I thought to myself, hey, I can kind of do that, or I'll try to do that. And so I created my first property called The 10th Muse in 2001. And I remember going to Image Comics and meeting with Jim Valentino. And I did, because I came from an entertainment background. I worked at E! Entertainment Television, and I worked at Lionsgate and USA. So I really put a business sense into it, which I don't think a lot of people did at that point. And I put together this huge presentation, like pages and pages and this and that. And I always had a hook to everything that I did. And back then we used Sable from the WWF to be the photo model of it. And so we got on Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition, and that type of stuff. And the book, we ended up getting the deal with Image without even him really looking at what we were doing. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And it's also helped to Jen and Bill, who kind of gave us, props, because I was an unknown at that point. And my first comic book launched at the 6th highest selling comic book when we released it of November of 2000. And she's still here today. Where's the camera? There it is. 10 views is back. Literally back.
There you
We're
go.
back. So,
That's awesome.
so,
Yay!
Yay.
and been doing it 20 years ever since. So.
All right. So, Gemma, the question's to you. What was your first foray into comics?
So I got really into Pokemon when I was in 3rd grade. And so were a lot of my friends, and we just started drawing Pokemon comics as little 3rd graders, and they were really dumb and terrible. And we just didn't stop all the way through junior high and high school, and we collected more girls who liked comics, and we had a group of 7 girls writing and drawing comics, and they were all terrible and wonderful. And eventually, it's like a couple of us wanted to like really go into comics, and we tried out for Tokyo Pop's contest, if any of you remember what that was. And I guess my biggest real jump into like indie publishing and stuff is I took a class at Southern Utah University in digital illustration, and Chad Hardin was the professor. And I was like, oh, he does real comics. He's like a real comic artist. I will just, I don't know, I'll follow him around and bug him until he acknowledges my existence. He's just sitting down there laughing at me. And it worked. Now we're business partners, and we work on comics together. We work on Temerity. But there was a year or two there where after I graduated, me and my husband would go and do conventions with Chad and just help manage his booth, and that got me into comics. And I tried a couple of times to do work for other people, like coloring for other comic artists and stuff, and I was just like, I don't like working for other people. So I just was like, I'm just going to do my own thing, and then if people want to pay me for it, then great. If not, whatever.
So I got to ask, do you still have any of those comics from the 3rd grade?
Oh, yes. They're in a box.
You have got to show us one of these days.
Okay.
And Chad, it is very dangerous to drive with a cell phone out. I drive a motorcycle, so please be safe. And secondary, put your seatbelt on.
We are parked. We are not moving. I had to drive around until I could get a good enough signal to you guys were sounding like Decepticons for a little while there, so I had to, once it started sounding like Autobots, I stopped the truck. But,
hey, that isn't us messing with the voice changer this time, I swear.
But I told Jordan today's my wife's birthday. We celebrated with dinner last night, but today's her actual birthday, and I told her I'd move a piano, and it turned into 2 pianos and an organ. And Jim's husband helped me this morning, and we're on our way back. But we're gonna park and do this first, and then head back. But we're running a little behind, as you can tell.
Well, be safe. That's what we really worry about.
Oh yeah. Well, Chad, I guess the question's to you. Professor Harding. The question's to you. What was your first foray into comics?
Well, it all started with Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends, and then Super Friends on the Saturday morning cartoons. And I lived way back in the day when they sold comic books in grocery stores and 7-Elevens.
Weird.
And I know, right? Odd times. And so what happened is I'd watch the cartoons, and then I would see the same drawings on the comic books, and I would very casually just get like 1 or 2 here or there. Mm-hmm. And then as I got older, my parents had a cabin in Penguins Lake, Utah. And this is before cell phones, before Walkman. I would get a couple of comic books, and they were supposed to last me the entire trip up to Penguins Lake. and then I'd buy a few more at the general store in Penguins Lake and read them on the way back. But it wasn't until I actually stepped foot in a real comic book store when I was like, okay, I'm doing this for the rest of my life. So, but I was a lot like Gemma. After I found a comic book store, like me and my friends, we'd make these really crappy X-Men books. It wasn't Pokemon, it was X-Men back then. But I imagine my Pikachu or Gemma's Pikachu probably looks a lot like my Colossus. I would wager. But yeah, it was just a bunch of friends sitting around making our own little comics, and then I never stopped. I just kept going, like Forrest Gump.
Persistence. Persistence wins out.
Persistence does win out.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Chad just reminded me of something that my very first exposure to a comic book was a free comic book that we got from a ranger at a state park when we were camping, and it was a Smokey the Bear comic book.
Oh wow!
I wish I
The
still
one where
had
it tells
it.
the story where he was a little cub and he held on to the tree and his
I
paws
had
were-
that one.
Yeah. had the same comic, my friend.
Oh yeah!
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get any further, what we're going to do is, if everybody goes to the Crypto Comics dashboard, you scroll
Don't worry,
down.
Chad. Don't worry, Chad. You already
You guys
have
got
it.
my codes for me?
You already have it, Chad. You already have it.
I'm ripping out my book.
You already
If
have
you go-
it.
I already have it. Okay. Right.
If you go to My Badges and put in the code OG status, all one word, and hit enter, I already have it, so it. Sorry.
So you're
You
gonna
will
see a
get
fake preview.
the Comics Through the Ages badge. So everybody,
Original
OG
gangsta.
status.
And that's
And with
on
that
put it
your
in
being
chat.
said,
OG status.
we are going to select at random 3 people who have redeemed this badge during the stream.
Oh,
And you're going to get an epically big giveaway that's going to include some signed comics and a shirt from anyone on this stream of your choice.
Nice.
So
Wow.
if I just put mine in.
You can win.
You
The
can
only,
win,
the only
possibly.
rules are that the Crypto Comics team can't win. You guys
it's
can.
not
Yeah.
fair. It's not
Gonna
fair.
win her own stuff.
This is
I
Not
need one of
very
my own
cool.
T-shirts.
In fact, I think I just ordered you some last night, actually.
I will never let you live this down ever.
thank you, Gemma. Please, thank you. Just keep it.
Oh,
Hey, if she wins that's rigged. I'm telling you, it's rigged.
now you
At
got to
least you
make me
spelled
all
your name
sweat.
right, Gemma.
No, if you draw my name, please draw someone else's.
Oh,
So
Darren
everybody
McFire.
on this panel has been involved in comics for what I would call a very long time, a lot longer than myself. And so a question that I'm just going to kind of put out there is how have comics changed from when you guys first got into today? Like, what changes are you seeing in the industry? What are you seeing in the comics and the creators and things of that nature?
Wow.
Whoever raises their hand first goes. Gemma.
It's Gemma.
Darren,
Is that a raise or a nah?
Ladies first.
No, Gemma, and then
Okay.
Darren.
So I'm a '90s kid, but between the '90s and now, there's just a huge surge in web comics and web comic platforms, which is like just a huge change from what the industry has been up until like the last 10 years. I mean, it used to be you had to go through a publisher, get it printed, get it distributed to comic book stores. And now it's just you get on your computer, you sign up for an account, and you can just start posting to platforms like Tapas and Webtoons. You can build your own website, and the entry level, the entry, whatever, is very low now. It's very just about anyone can do it, which is a wonderful thing.
All right. So Darren, yeah. Where's
Darren, I take Darren the block.
Nope. I got him.
There's Darren.
Sorry, Darren.
I was so pissed. I just left. I was like, screw this. No. I think I do. Okay, so I do think the biggest change in comic books, literally, is as Gemma said, everybody can do it now. It's not everybody can publish themselves. Everybody can self-publish. You can go on Amazon. You can launch your own book up there. It's super easy now with Kickstarter. People are doing it, and I don't, to be honest, and I'm pretty blunt. I've always been blunt. I don't think it's as fun as it used to be. I think conventions are not what they used to be. I think conventions are literally about Power Rangers, which I love because one married me, and about Power Rangers and William Shatner, and like it's like sci-fi. Yes, and it's not that. It's not about the comic books anymore, and that makes me sad. So I've kind of retired from going to like mainstream conventions. One thing, I saw a post that somebody just posted, this Valerie, I don't know who you are, but you mentioned that your child wrote a comic book, and I think she was 3. It's in one of the chats, or she was 10 or something like that. And you're never too old to embrace a kid's learning about comic books. I think this industry needs more readership. I think it needs more creators that are younger. My niece, because I was publishing at the time, like 20 years ago, and my niece was 10. And so I sat down with her and I created a comic book with her, and I let her formulate it and all that type of stuff. She's heavily edited, and it's called Violet Rose. But the comic book did so well, it was almost option.
And he's gone. Nope. All right. So Jeremy, Jeremy, what about you?
So the question just is, what has changed since we came in?
Yeah.
All right. Wow. Well,
I just totally cried.
You
guys cut me off.
On what is it? Oh, there we go. He's back.
So basically, getting kids more involved in the comic book industry. Go for it. Done.
Okay. All right, Jeremy, back to you.
Out in stores today.
For me,
Thank you, Darren.
All right, Jeremy, you're up. Go ahead.
I agree with a lot of what I heard Gemma say about the accessibility for both creating and consuming content being far greater than it was in the past. I consider that a huge plus. But also, to somewhat play both sides of the street, I kind of agree with Darren in the sense that we don't have that same necessarily intimate clubhouse feel that comics had, say, in the 90s and early 2000s. I think that part of that's also good in the sense that a lot of misogyny has gotten removed from the industry, and that's having more women, more LGBTQ people involved, both as being fans and creators and being more present. So again, those are benefits of that. And I think what I'd like to see in the future is a melding of a bigger, better clubhouse that has room for everybody.
So it's okay. So
all right, Jen. Yeah.
I think
Jen.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So when we joined, we were part of sort of this new freshman class of people that, hey, I've got a computer, I can make comics. And we were kind of those kids that, kids I use loosely, but we were kind of those kids that because of computers and because of how far things have come, it allowed us to be able to start a company whereas we would never have been able to do that, before. Now the web is allowing a new sort of freshman class, which now they're not freshmen anymore, to get in and do that. But what it's also done is it's spread everything out so much that, as everybody was saying, hi Darren, that club of all of us, all of the creators, knowing each other, helping each other, learning from each other. you know, and I'm talking about the indie books, not necessarily, you know, DC and Marvel and Dark Horse and so forth. So there's a large component of that that's missing that I think is very, very sad. Yeah, where we all get to know each other. We could go to a convention and we could hang out at the bar together, and everyone knew each other, and said we helped each other and we shared. And you don't have that with the digital realm because everybody's all over the place. So whereas it is good that there are new voices coming out, there is a lot that was lost because of it. And also what started happening even before the digital is those computers allowed a lot of people to make books that should not have been making books. And it drastically changed the industry. And I don't mean because of what they were saying. I mean because of the talent level of the writing and the artwork. And it drastically changed the ability for a company like Diamond to put the books out in the marketplace. There was a flood of indie books, and indie books from people who didn't understand that you have to work constantly to stay on schedule to get books out so that the retailers could sell your books. In other words, that it was a company, that it was an industry.
That you were serious about
Yes,
this.
it was work. And there was finances behind it. And there were comic book stores that depended on you as a creator to get your book out so they could make money on something that they had paid for in advance. And all of that kind of got very jumbled up, made a lot of people very angry, and made a lot of people think that they were being sort of shunned or pushed out of the industry, when in reality it was just that there was so much going on and there was no guarantee that these newcomers were going to be able to put out a book and then 1 or 2 months later put out another book and then 1 or 2 months later put out another book. And it was more, I think, a lot of times about the business portion of it than it was about the content of the book. So
yeah, I think Jan touches on a very relevant issue too, which is, on the one side, having web comics and like absolutely no barriers to entry, that's opened the floodgates, and you have more comics being made now than probably ever in history. But it's also a mixed bag. There's a really wide range of quality at this point because there's so many people making comics now. And I think one of the challenges is to develop the skills in art, and especially the skills in writing a good story and some of the business skills. Those training programs aren't in place because there's not really an official structure. You know, it's the Wild West. So I feel like people need to be connecting more so they can educate themselves and do what they're doing more effectively. But almost more importantly than that, for the consumer, consumers, they don't know where to look because there is not really an effective quality control going on. There are very, very few comic reviewers or news websites or comic news journalism, like all of that. In fact, I would say in response to this proliferation of talent, the legacy industry is responding, and they're really locking down the media outlets and making sure that, you know, journalists and people that run these blogs get paid a certain amount to keep the percentage of coverage on Marvel and DC content far, far higher than anything else. So the legacy industry is, you know, they're intelligently following their own interests despite a decline in sales in the traditional market and comic shops closing. That whole business model, unfortunately, seems to be dying off, but they're hanging on for everything that they're worth. And I think they're taking advantage of the scattered nature of the independent and the crowdfunding market to consolidate a presence in the media outlets where people get their comic and news, where people get their pop culture news. And you especially see that, as someone else was saying, in conventions, where conventions, it seems like it's less and less about the people actually making comics, and it's more and more about television shows that are being pushed by these massive corporations. And, you know, they have deep pockets, so they can control these media outlets very effectively. And I think that one of the things that this new market needs to grow, this new independent fueled crowdfunding, totally free market, it needs more effective coverage in terms of what is worth a reader's time, what is worth a reader's money, and what is not. Because that effective coverage and effective reviews, that can help people improve their skills if they're not at the level they need to be at yet. And for the people that are getting to that level, it can actually start to give them more revenue so they can get more professional and on a better schedule with it.
Okay.
This is not going to sound very. This is not going to sound very popular, but I've kind of given up. Like we left Diamond, which is the biggest distributor. We left them about 6 years ago. Yay! We left Diamond about 6 years ago, and I've done better. And I embraced digital books like right when we left Diamond. I've always tried as a business person to always kind of look what's going forward, and digital books do sell. Yeah, it takes away the collectability of it, so we went to print to order, and now we're with Ingram, and they kind of get what we do, because comic books in the 90s when X-Men #1 came out, when they rebooted it, it sold 9 million copies. Now the top selling comic book is struggling at 150,000, and independent companies like us, we fall down that pipeline of like selling hundreds of comics. So the retailers don't support us as much as I would like, because they have their main bread and butter is Marvel and DC. And so I've really gone to Amazon, and Amazon sells more books for me than anybody else. And we do a lot of biographies, which really get us a lot of attention. And so because I can't get 10th Muse, which has been around 20 years, to get reviewed by Comic, whatever, Newsarama or whatever it is, but I can get the New York Times to review a Pete Buttigieg comic book. So, in my career, I've always thought of a hook when I'm producing a comic book. I don't always want to create a cool book. I want to create a brand, something that could be more, something that could, like we did like this Misadventures of Adam West. It's a fun series, and that lets me be able to do a 10th Muse comic book, which is my own creation, which we do want to make into movies and TV and that type of stuff. So I just think this industry is changing, and it's changed so much. And as I said before, the camaraderie and all that type of stuff, I do think the independent publishers should get together. There's a guy named Dave Ryan who did War of the Independents and keeps doing it. And he incorporates a ton of indie people that I don't even know. And yeah, of course, 10th Muse is in there and that type of stuff. But you see like Bone and Milk or Milk and Cheese and all these like fun books. And that's what we need to do, is we need to support each other. Marvel and DC are not going to do it. So we have to do it. Like when Jan and I and Bill they were doing Cassie, I was doing 10th Muse, we supported each other, and that's missing. So
okay.
And the one-on-one at conventions, which of course during COVID, has been a challenge. Yeah. So, in this kind of a convention, it's quite wonderful because, if we take advantage of or begin to learn how to use the chat rooms and all of that, we might be able to have that connection with the public. And I think for all of us, it's a learning curve on actually how to do that beyond the panels. But what is missed is, being able to have that one-on-one with the actual fan base. And the beauty of comics is that the people who love the artists and love the readers are actually able to stand across from a table and meet their, heroes and so forth. And, that's unfortunately changed a lot because of COVID.
Yeah, I got 2 points. I think one of the things that's changed in the industry is the power of the gatekeepers. In some ways, they have less power. In some ways, they seem to have more power. A gatekeeper gets to decide whether your book's going to get reviewed or not. So I've never been a big fan of the gatekeepers of the industry. That being said, there is also, to use an example, in the world of, say, I'm using this as an example. When it comes to movie posters, all the movie posters nowadays are very bland and corporate and uninteresting. All the really good stuff is being made by the fans. And I feel like that's also in some way happening with a lot of the comic book industry. A lot of the big name companies are doing stuff that's very corporate in their own 2020 kind of way. But the really interesting stuff is being done by the fan base without naming any names or companies. So
names.
Yeah. I try not to burn bridges that I plan on turning around and going back on. So
all right, Gemma, did you have anything that you wanted to add? I thought I saw your hand going up.
Yeah, like even though conventions are kind of have been kind of shut down, we have closer access to our readers than ever, and it's just really an amazing thing that, I have a Discord server that is pretty active, and I get to talk to my readers all the time, and I get direct input of stuff I'm working on in the moment from them, and I get to find out if what I'm creating is working, if it needs fixing. And that's a really wonderful thing about the digital age that we're living in. And then another thing that I think is really great about our age is growing up. This is even more so for the older generation. There was very limited types of stories that were allowed in comics. And there was an extreme gatekeeping there with types of stories that people were allowed to tell. And I remember picking up American comics and being like, I don't like this. And then picking up a manga and being like, what is this? This is new and exciting and totally different. And with the web comics and with Kickstarters and stuff, there's a type of comic story for every genre, and you're not limited to superheroes anymore. The sky's the limit on what kind of story you want to tell.
Okay. Chad.
All right, I had to unmute myself, but yeah, and things are changing. There was a time when gatekeepers were necessary because the production cost of a comic book was so high that you couldn't just produce anything, because if you did, you'd be out of business. So there was a lot of selection, and then the American comic book industry, it got American comics used to be like Japanese comics, where we had all these different types of comics, and then there's the whole McCarthyism in the 50s, seduction of the innocent, and then the only thing that survived that era were the super patriotic, flag waving, superheroes. So if it wasn't Superman, Captain America, or Wonder Woman without their sidekicks, that's pretty much what cleared out the American industry, and Japan didn't have that. So a lot of what's happening with American comics is water that's way under the bridge, and there's other industries that never had that type of discrimination or that type of clampdown, especially from their own government. But we are entering the era where if there's a will, there's a way. If somebody wants it to be done, they can do it. The one thing that does concern me, though, is that when you have these giant media corporations, like right now, Gemma and I are publishing Temerity on Webtoons, and Webtoons just got bought by Crunchyroll, and then Crunchyroll just got bought by AT&T. And, I am terrified that, pretty soon we might lose Webtoons as a place where we can do Webtoons Canvas, because of, all it takes is someone to change a term of condition. And then, where you have your outlet for people to read your books, suddenly, it's like a watering hole in the middle of the Serengeti that dries up, and you got to go find another watering hole. But I just think so long as there's creators out there willing to make books, we do live in an age where we have the ability to connect with our readers like we've never had before, but it takes a lot more hustle than it used to. I know as someone who worked with Marvel and DC, one of the really nice things about working with Marvel and DC is I didn't have to worry about the marketing. I didn't have to worry about anything. All I had to do was turn in the art, and somebody else did everything else for me. And I thought I knew a lot about comics when I worked for Marvel and DC. And then you turn around and you try the independent side of things, and it's just a completely different animal. It's like comparing NASCAR to cross-country motorbiking. I mean, they both involve vehicles and speed, but they're just, just different animals. So,
I kind of disagree with that. Sorry, Chad. I respect you and all that stuff. I just disagree that, because Jen and I have been there since for 20 years, and we've struggled. I struggle, and I publish at least 4 books a month now, and I struggle every month for the last 20 years to figure out how to market my own books and how to get it out there. And it's always been, that has not changed. You know, the first book that I did, 10th Muse, as I said, we had a hook. We had Rena Miro, who was Sable. You know, it got us on Entertainment Tonight. I had to think of ways to stand out on a shelf that was different than what other people were doing. And so Legend of Isis, I knew there was an Isis TV show. So I kind of played off of that a little bit. I remember Jan wanting, my friend worked for the LA Times and we got her interviewed by then. It's literally, you have to promote your books. Just because you put it out there doesn't mean people are going to pick it up. And
So-
I struggle every week trying to figure out how to promote something.
No, I agree with you 100%. So I was talking about when I worked for Marvel and DC. I didn't have to worry about the marketing because Marvel and DC did the marketing.
But shouldn't but that's what I'm saying is that shouldn't you be doing press to forward you back when you worked for Marvel and DC? That's what I'm like because I make sure that all my artists and my writers and that type of stuff, inkers even, and pencilers and everybody gets interviewed somehow. And I've tried that since day one to make it, this is not the Darren Davis show. This is, we're all a group together. And that's something I did learn from Jan and Bill.
Darren, it's not the same. If you work for Marvel and DC, they have a publicity department. They have their PR people. You can't really step outside of that box and take it upon yourself to market your book. Now, yes, you can be available.
Yes, that's what I meant. So
yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Right.
You can set certain things up, but you still have to go through them to do it. I mean, just to give you a small thing, I'm here representing Hurricane Entertainment. I work for Marvel Studios, but I can't say Jan Utstein from Marvel Studios is on this panel because that's an entirely different thing. I'm not here representing the company because if I was, then the company would be
In complete control of what you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In complete control of what you say, are they entitled to the benefits of what you might say or the
I get official
Oh, wow.
press releases of what I'm allowed to say and do with every comic I do.
But when
I'm supposed to post it, where I'm supposed to post it.
Not with Crypto Comics. I'm just saying.
Well, like I said, it's for me, my experience, and that's the only way I can speak is from my experience. There's a huge difference between you self-publishing and you working for a big publisher. It's very much night and day.
Right. And I did work for DC. And I do understand, but like a Joe Madureira, if we wanted him on here or if he decided to come on here, he could come on and talk about stuff. Nobody's going to try to stop him. And I just think people have to help. I do think people have to help the little people. Oh, hey, there's my husband.
Hey.
Hey,
Hello, Darren, husband.
Sorry.
I would say what you guys are talking about is spot on because the skill set that it takes to make a worthwhile comic is very different from the skill set that it takes to successfully market anything. They're different skill sets, and a lot of comic book creators don't understand they need a whole new range of skills. And that leads to a danger also. Because one of the things I've seen in the crowdfunding market, because I was doing this back before there was a crowdfunding market, just putting PayPal buttons on my website. I started off like full indie and I stayed there. But there is now such an economy around it that you're seeing services and other companies and more infrastructure pop into place, like backer management and fulfillment services and marketing services. But that's where I think creators have to be very careful, especially if they're doing a crowdfunding thing on their own, because not all of these marketing services are totally on the level. A lot of them are just in it to feed off of the hopes of people. And if you don't know how to recognize which ones are going to help you and which ones are going to just siphon your money out, it's risky. So I would encourage anyone that's getting into crowdfunding, start learning how to do marketing entirely on your own without outside companies. Get on Facebook, learn how the Facebook ad system works, get a Google Ads account, and you can experiment with small amounts like $5, $10, and you can see what $5 or $10 will do in terms of direct results. and you got to learn how to crunch that data. So it's just, if you're not expecting it, that's a totally new skill set that you need to develop in order to not get fleeced by some of these other services that might be out there to do that.
I'm hiring Gemma to do my crowdfunding. I literally am gonna hire.
I highly
If I ever
recommend
do
that too.
crowdfunding, I'm hiring Gemma.
Yeah, I mean, it seems there is a whole new way of doing things. I mean, it used to be you put out a book, and there were certain people on the web that would review it, and you made sure that you sent them advanced copies, and you knew that your reviews were going to come out. You know, there was like a rhythm to it. But nowadays, there's just so much out there, and so much competition for for eyes. So we're getting a lot of feedback here. There's a lot of.
Sounds like somebody's eating, but
Yeah.
I don't see
It's
anybody.
like Janet Jackson bad feedback.
Yeah, there's some really bad feedback going on.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to manage the mute and not cut anybody off. So I'll get back to that. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah,
Okay.
Aaron, I believe
Yeah,
it's coming through.
so I guess what I'm saying is, Gemma, I would love to learn more about. I'm brand new to Discord, and Discord I immediately realized is an amazing tool for of that one-on-one that I was talking about before, that you could only get at the conventions, to get that with people, and even beyond, Patreon and all of those type of things, which as soon as Jared introduced me to it, I was like, oh my, this is a whole new world, which is not new. It's just, of course, new to me. So there's a lot of learning curve, I think, on how to navigate in this new digital realm to get eyes on your books. But no matter how much work you do, there's so much more competition for product that it is so much more difficult to sell anything. We were selling, oh my God, at the beginning, we were selling 50, 60,000 books every time a book came out. And nowadays, I think I'd be lucky if I sold 1,500. But that was with a lot of work, a lot of work. And so much so that people at Image complained to Jim Valentino, and they were like, why is Jan all over the place? Why are her books all over the place? And it was, finally
It's
had
a
to
nickel and dime business, Jan. That's what we learned. It's a nickel and dime business. And the more places you put your books. So I know my books are literally in at least 150 different locations, digital in China to, drive through. And, anybody that's ever come to us or me and said, I want to try you out, I want to do something with you, like Crypto Comics, same thing, giving them a chance because all these nickels add up, and that's how you pay your creators and you pay everybody and you make a living out of this. You just can't depend on one. You can't depend on Diamond to do it for you.
Yeah.
So,
not anymore.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Well, you never really 100% good, but yeah.
Let's lighten
All right.
the mood.
Well, it's also interesting. We've all known that the Diamond bubble was, that Diamond was not sustainable. Having a single monopoly distributor was not sustainable. And I think COVID is going to be the straw that broke that camel's back. I think the industry is going to be in flux for a long time. I hope it stabilizes, but I really do think it's going to be a lot more grassroots from here on out. And it's going to be the people who persist and stick with it that are going to come through on the other side, the winners, and not necessarily it. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with DC and Marvel. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see now that they're owned by these giant multinational media companies, what they decide to do. Like I'm thoroughly convinced that AT&T doesn't even know what to do with DC Comics. So it'll be really interesting to see what direction that they're forced to take. I hope it's beneficial. But at the same time, it makes my palms sweat just a little bit.
It stresses me out too. I get so stressed out about. I love DC. DC is what I collect, and Batgirl's my favorite, and they're changing her again. But I think the collectability market is that's the thing that's dying. Because if you look at, who remembers the Comic Buyer's Guide? Remember that big, thick book? That
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
had?
You
What
talking
does
about
it
the
look like
Overstreet
now?
or?
What
Yeah.
does it look like now?
That was another one. Yeah, there's two.
Was it-
Yeah,
was it one?
it was Overstreet and Comics.
Overstreet, yeah, Bill. Overstreet.
Yeah.
So what does that even look like now in the world of comic books? It's like, do digital comics fall into that? I mean, the collectible market is pretty much dying, and you have all these retailers that are doing exclusive covers, and it's great, but it's the 90s, like Jenna said, it's the 90s comics happening again. That, you know, the 90s comics, all they did is like 10 different covers for this, for Spawn #1 or Batman or whatever. And the multiple covers kind of killed that.
Mhm.
And now we're coming back, and the retailers are now doing their own versions of these books.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said,
Covers, right?
Yeah, we never did multiple covers.
No, we never did multiple covers.
We never did either.
all right.
Power Records was the best, though.
What is it? Don't hate the player. What's the expression?
Yeah. Multiple
Okay.
covers, thing that everybody loved to hate and hated to love. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
how do you
got 'em, but
how
we
do,
didn't.
how do you see the future of the comic book industry? I mean, kind of long term. How do you actually see it going?
I'm scared to shop.
The
I'm
shop,
mostly
yeah.
afraid for comic book shops. I think comics are going to live on no matter what, because people like Gemma, who is online and knows how to work it and knows how to get over 120,000 people following her. That's more than you would get through the shops. But I really fear that the shops they still haven't figured out a way to bring people in and to bringing people in to make that brick and mortar overhead sustainable.
Here's something that we're doing that's kind of changing the rules of comic books, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, but so as I said, we signed with Ingram, and so this is the difference between two comic books. So we have the one that's done by Ingram and then one that's just a regular edition, and you can see that it's a little shorter, but if you look at this, it is cardstock, and yes, it's Stormy Daniels Space Force, and it has a spine, but it's like a higher quality, and it's $5.99. This one's $3.99. It's still the paper smell and all that stuff. But this for us works so much better because it's actually like a mini graphic novel, but they sell better for us. And then after 4 issues, we put them into a trade. And these are sold on Amazon, and these do really well for us. But I want to help out the retailers, but yeah, the retailers don't get us because we do Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the comic book, or the Tiger King, or Pete Buttigieg. So,
Hey everybody. Just real quick, we actually have a panelist that's got to exit early, so we just wanted to make sure that we said thank you so much for being here. Your smile brought a beautiful day and rain of sunshine.
Yeah, sorry, I gotta leave.
Nope.
Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for attending, Gemma. Thank you for your contribution. We're going to keep rolling, but thank you, and I will make sure that Darren can speak to you about what you do for a living in relation to Kickstarters and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm more than willing to like help people out with their Kickstarters and consulting and stuff like that. How many have I done now, Chad? I think it's like 11 now in the last 3 years.
You're a veteran.
She's
incredible with that. That is incredible, Gemma.
I've lost friends.
Chad is muted.
I lost friends from Kickstarter and Indiegogo because I learned my friends are not my demographic.
That happens. Yes.
It does. It does. Yeah.
So I think the future of comics is leaving us now. See you later, Gemma.
Before you leave, Gemma, we filled you in on a little bit of information. Would you like to be the one that shares that in the private chat?
Okay, so for the Crypto Comics drawing giveaway thingy, they informed me that it was D Jackson.
Woo!
So congratulations, DJ.
There you go.
Thanks for being a constant support and energetic, enthusiastic reader for Children of Eldar and Temerity.
Perfect.
Gemma,
Yes.
did you tell him Temerity was on the marketplace?
Oh, I did put the first issue of Temerity on
What?
Crypto Comics last night, so you guys can all go check it out. And also, please feel free to go visit our pre-launch page on Kickstarter for the second issue of Temerity. If you go to the link that maybe Crypto Comics will share here in a second,
Popping that in there.
Yes, we will.
you can go to that page and save the project, so when it goes live, it notifies you.
Thank you so much, Gemma. Thank you so much for being a part of this panel with us.
Yeah, sorry, I have to bail.
Yo,
Later,
thank
Gemma.
you.
Cheers, Gemma. Thanks for joining us. All right, now the gem is gone. Let's have some fun.
We're Brady Bunch.
Oh, we're Brady bunching it. Here, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No, do not sing the song. Do not sing
Boom.
the
I
song.
just have to
time
be
I
in the
did it.
middle because y'all
Okay,
my
Alice.
kids. I feel like I'm babysitting too much around here.
The D1
Yeah,
in the middle of Oblivion.
Oh, wait. We got something.
Hashtag
You guys-
shameless plug.
I'm at my husband's restaurant right now, so that's why I have paneling behind us. And if you guys want to see something really cool, this is super scary. This is what literally is in their bathroom. I'm gonna show you. This is good. This is
Did you just say this is scary?
Oh my gosh.
Look at this.
Whoa.
That is
This is
so
literally-
cool.
Is it though?
That is
I
really
think so.
There's a shower in the restaurant. So I just had to show you guys that because
That has got to be one of the coolest tile I've ever seen.
That's not tile. That's wallpaper.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Welcome to the 70s.
Oh.
I miss wallpaper.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the 70s wallpaper. It
Since we're
looks
talking Brady
weird like
Bunch,
that.
All right. So the question, let's go to you, Jeremy. Kind of how do you see the future of the comic book industry?
Oh, we're screwed.
oh my heck.
I think that everything's cyclical. I can very easily see a world where retail stores implode and everything goes to digital. I can see a world where it's very much divided into just corporate comics that are being licensed from Marvel and DC to companies like Dark Horse and IDW. And then other than that, it's all web comics, crypto comics, and digital stuff. And then about 20 years after that, people getting hungry for only getting physical copies in Kickstarter campaigns, and someone has the bright idea of, hey, it's been a long since there's been a retail comic shop. Or maybe even if there's any bookstores left, someone just opens a comic section in their used bookstore, and then it begins a reflourishing all over again of people creating, low-cost print items. And the boom that we saw of indie comics, in the 80s, the black and white comics boom, I can see that whole cycle starting over again, and retail shops picking up. Basically, once there's a point where it's died off, people are sad that they're gone, long enough that becomes the novelty again, and then boutique comic retailers start popping up and flourishing. By that time, I'll be an old man, so I may not live to see that joy. But and then at some point, those major companies that own Marvel and DC, they go bankrupt. They start selling off Fire Sale, selling off Batman, Superman, The Flash, and you see all those characters, much like when superhero films started, and because there was no Marvel Studios, you end up with, the X-Men at Fox and Spider-Man at Sony, so on and so forth. You see all these characters we grew up with and loved and have cherished in major box office films, all getting sold to a variety of different publishing houses. And then we see what's happening with the film industry, happening with the comic industry now. And then at the same time, you've got some indie comics that in the next 20 years are going to be the next Hellboy. And those things are going to lift up and become franchises. It's going to become like the next Walking Deads, the next Hellboys, the next Painkiller Janes, and moving into it. And things are going to continue to fragment, get horrible in some areas, get fantastic in others. And that's just going to continue to boom and bust like Shiva's, circle of life and death. That's what's going to happen.
I'm not against seeing a Dreamkeepers movie, though. I'm just going to throw that out here.
Be patient. We've already got graphic novel series, prequel webcomics, spin-off novel, tabletop game, soundtrack with an orchestral score recorded in Budapest. We have enough on our plate. Don't rush it.
Video game. You forgot the video game.
The video game is still in production. There is a playable demo on the site, but it's still early in production.
That's the video game that Fry sucks at, right?
Hey.
He couldn't even make it to the part that they put in for us to see.
Developmental bug in
any opportunity to take a pot shot.
Can I
at
ask you a
Fry.
question? I have a question, a real question. So
Yeah.
just like what you were saying about like the industry and going all to like, when was the last time anybody bought a CD? It's the same thing, people still, but look at vinyl records. People still want them in print. And so we will always do a print version, but it'll be print on demand, and I agree with you that there's going to be boutique shops and that type of stuff. But I do think people do want the graphic novels. Do they want the single issues anymore? Not really. And as somebody who does, I don't read that much anymore because I kind of got burnt out by DC after the New 52. That's a whole nother show. And so I only read Batgirl, but I don't want to collect single issues anymore, and I will collect trades, and I think that's kind of where it's going. But single issues, I think, give you the press each month to if you can hit each month as an independent. That's really hard, but that gives you the press and gets you the attention, and then the trade paperback comes out, and that's where you get your bigger sale.
Yeah, when I give advice to people for comic books, I used to say, as much as you want to go straight to that graphic novel, do the floppies first because the floppies get you the press. But nowadays, that press is harder, and it's like, you know what? Put it out digitally if you can, and then collect it into a graphic novel and sell that.
I do think that the combination of digital and then like big collected editions, I think that's going to squeeze floppies a little bit. There's always going to be a market for floppies that come out regularly, but there's going to be so many people that read digitally, especially this younger generation. They read it online, and then for the ones that want to own it, they want to own like a nice physical copy from a crowdfunding campaign. So my quickie version of the way I see the future is I think the corporate side is going to go off and do its own thing. That's not my ball game. I think the indie market, right now, it's exploded out like dust, just like Jeremy was saying. But over time, gravity is going to pull some different strands together. You're going to see some structures emerge. And I would say right now is a great time to be a reader in the indie market because people need guidance. They need to know what's good. And if you're actually out there reading stuff, you're going to become a leader. People are going to ask you what's good, what's worth reading. Because right now, there's not really anyone definitive to go to. So I think that there's going to be a side market that emerges, like an influencer market of people that actually read a lot of indie stuff. And people are going to be relying on you for guidance. That's what I see coming.
Can I ask you a question on that comment?
Wait, Darren. Wait. William's been patiently waiting. He's been patiently waiting. And then you can. I promise.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, comic book dad.
I have 2 quick points. One, hard copies for everything are going to be coming back into style because we're reaching the point in technology where the government can remove stuff from your computer if it doesn't want you reading, watching, or listening to it. We're going to be getting to that point soon. So if you want something and you're a fan of it, short of them breaking into your door and physically taking it from you, that is the future of these things because we're getting to the point now where if you've downloaded a copy of Blazing Saddles and the state suddenly decides that something's too offensive for you to watch, they have the technology to just remove it from your computer. That's why you need to buy a hard copy of it. So I think that's one of the reasons why hard copies of things are going to be coming back in style because you actually own it.
Whatever. That may be my
Jared
thing
is the biggest conspiracy theory person ever.
I am. But I'll tell you what, if they reach into my computer and they try and take my shiz, I'll sue them back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys about this really cool technology called cryptocurrency.
My second point is like also for all the industries. Right now, the business model seems to be to replace a fan base when up until a few years ago, the business model used to be to expand a fan base. And as long as they continue the prospect of trying to replace as opposed to expand, your industry will shrink. And that's all I have to say on that.
All right. So, Darren, what were you saying?
So, Vivid Publisher guy, who I think you're super smart.
David.
So
David.
my question for you is: you're saying everything's going digital. How do independent comic book companies, like all of us, protect ourselves from like torrent sites and things getting stolen? And because we're the ones, like if Marvel and DC, you know, somebody takes Batman 407 and makes it whatever, but our books are on like these weird platforms that can be downloaded for free, and that takes money away from us. How do you help that?
Yeah,
I would say,
and all of our books are on it, and everyone's your books, Darren, are on it. Everyone's books are on it. It's like, what the heck? And it's not even a difficult to get to torrent. It's just a URL you go to.
I would say you don't want to try to stand in the path of a runaway river, because no matter how strong you are, it's just going to knock you over. So our strategy from the beginning has been try to roll with the piracy and just jujitsu that and use it as marketing, use it as free marketing. And so that might not seem like it helps at first, because like, oh, everyone's reading my stuff for free. What am I going to do with that? But at that point, you need to really focus on branding and connecting with your customer audience. Like that's the connection you need, is the connection with people that read your stuff and enjoy it. And you have to make sure that you kind of have a presence advertising to them and talking to them in a feedback loop. And you have to brand what you're doing so that they see value in it. Because if you don't have a valuable brand, and that doesn't mean everything has to be like, oh, super hardcover. Your brand could be like, hey, I remember the old days when there were floppy comics and newsprint. Smell that newsprint. It's classic. Just brand it in a way where they understand why what they're getting is special, and then make them want the real thing. And then if you can use the piracy and the torrents to get your stuff out there more widespread, and if you can use that piracy to get people into your audience, start connecting with them, start appreciating just the fact that they read your stuff, and then just imprint on them how valuable it is and how cool it is. It's not a fix-all solution, but I think that's the best strategy to try to turn piracy into more customers.
So
Thank you for that.
I don't want to do any kind of a shameless plug, but Fry, can you actually explain how we can protect from piracy?
Yeah. So no matter what we do, we're in a digital age. If people want to pirate things, they're gonna pirate things. What we can do, however, is we can raise the value for those that do not, and we can also. Thanks, Jared. Jared's just trying to zoom in on me to have some fun here. Somebody's about to get removed from the screen again. Anyways, so what we're enabling you to do with Crypto Comics is actually put your book directly into the blockchain, where it holds and retains a value. So it can be sold and resold, and it's actually held on an incorruptible ledger. What that means is that people cannot steal it in that format. Of course, somebody's going to always be able to think things around, and the technology is always going to advance. But the nice thing is that crypto technology is so widely embraced worldwide that in order to attempt to pirate and do things like that, you would have to literally change the mind of every computer that's running that crypto algorithm. So every computer that's mining it, which gives creators a leg up. On top of that, it allows systems like Crypto Comics to be able to ensure that a creator makes a dramatic increase on how much they actually make from each book sale. So for example, right now it's 80%. You know what I mean? That's unheard of.
Not dependent upon price like other platforms do, where the higher you make the price, the more percentage you get.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are new technologies and new things that are coming, into play. On top of that, again, shameless plug time. Crypto Comics allows you to put, audio. It allows you to put video. It allows you to put moving images. It allows you to add additional features to your book that weren't possible before, based on limitations of different digital readers or just the limitation of print itself. So it does add, additional value in that way. On top of that, like you guys were saying, we all collect floppies. I mean, floppies will never go anywhere because the collector will always want to have them. Is Darren trying to scream at me right now?
No, he's got some kind of feedback thing going.
No,
yeah, he's messing with me.
I think Jared actually is in charge of the mute button, because I always see, like, when I'm like And then Jared's like, boom, mute.
I'm trying to unmute it so you can talk. But you have some kind of funky weird back feed. So it's and you're the only one.
So Fry, what
I'm the mouth one. I'm sorry.
No,
right,
we love you.
Fry, if a book is created digitally and never sees print, in this scenario, it's actually safer than if it was ever printed. Because once it's printed, it can be pirated. But
in a way,
the digital realm and it's uploaded with the whatever technology you guys do so that it can be tracked and not copied. I guess it's protection.
Yeah, but you can't go to a con and get digital copies signed. So
that's true, and
that's one of the reasons why I also think hard copies are never going to go away, because the comic book industry is one of the few industries where the fans can really interact with creators, and that's always been one of its draws. And that's one of the reasons why, even if it ends up just being graphic novels, if floppies go away, there's still going to be some sort of real world thing, because fans still interact with creators, and that's always been one of the pluses of the comic book industry, as opposed to, you're rarely ever going to be able to go anywhere and hang out with your favorite movie star and talk to them about something. You can meet your favorite comic book creator, and there's a pretty good chance they're going to be pretty decent.
But they're going to want selfies. People want selfies these days. They don't want signatures as much. They don't want to sign a book. They want selfies. Yeah. Even look at the celebrity marketplace too. People want selfies. Selfies are the new autographs.
Well, I have had my selfies taken too, but still, that is a point of getting being in person and talking to them. And
well, and I will clarify, guys, that I think the downside of this argument of digital versus print is the fact that most people don't look at the entire situation and realize that it's essentially a fork of the exact same item. Like Crypto Comics, we're fans, man. I mean, that's why we started all this. That's why we do all this. We do not want to see print go away. We don't want to see shops close up because of digital. We don't want to see any of those things happen. What we see is a future where, you buy that print version at a convention floor, you get it signed, and it just comes with a redeemable code. Where you just scan a QR code with your phone, and now you own a copy of that same book inside of somewhere like Crypto Comics, to where it still holds and retains a value. You can read it without worrying about messing up any of your pages, which is perfect for a lot of fans that buy 2 copies of every book, because you have to keep one perfect and one to read and do all those kind of things. And plus, it's a digital item that still retains value, which right now the biggest problem is, like you mentioned earlier, William, certain platforms right now, you're not actually buying a book, you're buying a license right to read it. So you go on Amazon and you buy a digital copy of a movie, you don't own that movie. You just own the right to watch it, as long as Amazon gives you that capability. That doesn't guarantee that capability. That doesn't guarantee that it won't get taken away. It doesn't guarantee that you'll forget a password. It doesn't guarantee any of those things. That's what's really nice about crypto, is that because it's on a blockchain and because it's on its own independent network that's shared amongst, hundreds of thousand different devices so that it cannot be corrupted, nobody can take it from you. You know what I mean? And in fact, it's actually, what's taken so long to get this to market is because this is a very, very difficult technology to implement and make work. And this is the first time anyone's done anything even close to it, let alone, specifically for comic books or anything like that. So this isn't something where, even having a chat like we are right now, where, a lot of people have a difficult time even quantifying how all this works in their head. Once you do, it kind of makes sense. I think it's just kind of the future and the way that things are going to be going, which is why we do what we're doing. But yeah, to go back to the idea of print and, versus digital, I don't think there's ever really going to be a world where it's one against the other. I think that, as creators, as publishers, as artists, as writers, as fans, as the community, all that, I think everybody just needs to realize that both of them are going to be running hand in hand. And as soon as we embrace that and run with it, that's going to be where all the success is really found, and we can kind of keep the industry rolling.
Yeah, for years we've heard about how books are going to die, and obviously the market has shrunk, but there's still an audience out there where people want their real novel, the read. So even though the market shrunk, it has not disappeared. So the market's going to change and fluctuate, but I agree that I don't think the market's going to completely vanish and there'll never be real world hard copies of comic books, much like the novel has managed to survive in now several different formats. So if it was back when it was just the hard copy, the sales were up here for that, but now there's different ways to read that book, but the novel hasn't completely vanished. So, hopefully, like every kind of entertainment industry, eventually, whenever a new platform comes out, it evens out in some form. Very rarely does that whole other platform match.
Yeah,
Well,
M.
it's
Scott
kind of
Russell,
like
I believe you had
Matt-
another question. Sorry.
No,
Well,
actually,
Oh yeah, go for it.
I think David had something to add.
Oh,
Can we unmute David?
No, he's muted himself.
Oh no, I'm
Oh, okay.
no. Sorry, but I think Darren was saying something. Sorry about that. I was just making sure I didn't have any ambient
Oh, okay.
noise.
I thought I seen your hand go up a few times in that. So
I think someone.
It just shoots up on its own. Don't
I
mind
think
me.
somebody's typing is what's going on. I think that's what that noise is.
No, it's feedback. It's feedback on Darren's audio. I don't know what's happening with Darren's. I'm sorry, Darren. I keep telling you this. I've been messaging you. It's some kind of feedback in Darren's audio. So like,
no, we didn't say go away.
Biscuit.
So
Come back,
I want Darren. I want to hear what Darren had to say, and also I like the feedback. The feedback makes me feel like we're in like a hacker, cool, like underground sort of thing.
That's why I've been running. I've been running mute and trying to time it so when I see he wants to say something, I unmute him, and that's what brings him into the conversation. And then while he's sitting and listening, I've been muting it and it totally kills whatever that. I don't know what it is. I can't figure it out, but I've tested everybody's mics.
Eating.
That's it.
Hey, okay.
All right, good. Darren's
See, I
back.
told you Darren would come back.
Good.
Just kidding.
Oh man.
Us messing with people, but that's not us this time. Okay.
Yeah, this isn't me. This is Darren because he's
I knows how to make an exit.
We're
He
losing
also
control
knows
of
how
this,
to make
fellas.
an entrance.
I love that we can watch the sunset through Chad's back window.
Yeah.
Right?
I've been enjoying that
Chad.
too.
I know. Pretty soon, I'm just gonna have a dark screen after it's just getting darker and darker.
Look, you don't.
This is gonna be your face.
And
Chad, you don't travel with your surfing light.
We had to move because the wild creatures were getting a little too close to where we were. I'm like, Joy, we better go down the road a little bit. So she jumped in the driver's seat and drove us to a new location. There's like a badger in the woods, like getting a little too close.
Aren't you in downtown
Wendigo
Salt
chasing
Lake?
you?
No. So, like I said, it's Joy's birthday, and
Should
for
we
her
sing?
birthday
You took her to the
present,
boonies? What?
I
Took her to get
volunteered to
killed?
move a piano. I volunteered to move a piano, and we are.
Where are you moving it to the
behind.
Blair Witch House?
I guess.
All right.
It's getting a little scary. I'll leave my phone on. If I drop out, you guys triangulate on the cell phone.
Will do.
I'll find my body.
So-
You know,
Okay.
if we weren't on lockdown, we would take you guys to the Brady house right now. So
Ah,
Oh yeah, we live like 2 blocks away from the real Brady house.
Oh my
that is
heck.
awesome. Okay, so my next question actually.
Oh wait,
Oh wait, Darren's back. Darren's
Hey.
back. Darren, what were you gonna say?
wait, Vivid.
So tomorrow. So for
No.
It
So
wasn't.
for tomorrow's podcast or whatever we're calling this, I will
Panel.
be in my office. I will have full. I'll not be downtown Hillsboro. I'll be at home, so there'll be no problems.
Don't worry. Hey, it has been my pleasure to try and manage this as awfully as I have.
Okay.
What's with this? By the way, what is with this thing?
That
I
is
don't
a
get
that is a
what you're
runway
so
strip
good
so
at.
that I can get kisses from my wife when I have a beard.
Aww.
No, he's my model for Wolverine.
Aww.
Oh, I'm his model for Wolverine. Did you hear that, guys? I'm Chad Harden's model for Wolverine. What? Suck this!
Hey,
Oh,
hey, you're talking about the X23 version, right?
I don't know what that even means.
Jeremy,
Don't even-
like, what?
See, now all you guys are laughing at me. Fry's clapping. I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Clap.
It's all good.
Just start referring to
What did he
yourself
just
that
say?
way.
What just happened to me? Did Chad? What did he just mean?
I just found out what it means. It's very funny.
No, I want to know. Okay, wait a minute.
He's
William,
got
I
Google.
want to know.
William, tell him.
Because it's a girl, right?
What? Oh my gosh! I'm gonna. Oh, I'm leaving.
I don't know where that came from. All right,
It's a
so we
compliment.
need to
Thank
move in.
God.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
it's a great
know if
Wolverine.
Wolverine ever like used that
Thank
badass
God.
line. Oh, this is the kissing runway. Stickety stick. This is the
Yeah,
kissing.
he's back.
Oh, sorry. I thought you guys thought I'd left.
Okay, so we have to move into the shameless plug section. I need to know. I got to know, what is your guys' current projects, if you can talk about them. Can we start with you, Dan?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's been pretty noisy. I've been pretty quiet. Sorry about that. Right now, I'm working on creating a digital platform that is going to be a subscription-based, comic-based, subscription-based thing. So my agenda is to provide a digital comic that would be updated weekly, and for all subscribers, when there's enough content, it would be assembled into a hard copy that would be part of your subscription, thus enabling both worlds to exist together. That's my future.
Is this going to be on the eye candy?
No, this will be completely different.
Okay.
Completely different.
For those of you guys who don't know, let me share my screen here. This is Dan Cote's website, the Eye Candy universe. I absolutely love this.
Wow.
The art in there's so rad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Dan has some incredible art.
this seriously brings me back. I love
his imagination. If you guys haven't had a chance to check out in the marketplace, I really recommend it. It's the first comic in that series. It's his first independent comic that he did, and it is so incredible. And you'll understand when you actually check it out. There's some really special things about it.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Yeah, so I am working on that. I nibble at it. So I've got 4 different projects going at the same time. But the lowest hanging fruit is actually this new platform that I'm describing that I really can't talk much more about. But, it is, I'm trying to usher in a future where both hard and soft digital can exist. That's my agenda.
Cool.
I hope it works. We'll see.
Amen.
That sounds awesome.
Just to let you know, right after this, I'm going to be hitting you up to try to get more information about that out of you. So I'm not saying.
That's fine. That's fine. There's one thing I wanted to say though before we continue, and that we've talked about the future and the past, but one thing that has not changed at all is the craft of telling stories and making stories. David does that very eloquently. He describes that whole process incredibly eloquently. But the fact is, we are all artisans, and that's, I think, what people need to know about these products that we make is the amount of work. And I think these digital platforms that we have gets people a little more intimate look into how much work this really is. And again, and it's all passion. Everybody I know that does this does it because they love what they're doing, and that's the thing that's going to compel and draw people to what we do.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say on that.
All right.
Love it.
Thank you, Dan.
Chad, let's go to you, Chad.
Okay, so Gemma, like Gemma said before she took off, we just put Temerity, Sayonara up on the marketplace. Hopefully, I will have the Art of Chad Harden Volume 3 on the marketplace tonight, so long as Gemma can help me walk me through it.
Yes. Here's Temerity in the marketplace.
There we go. We will be kickstarting Temerity the Runaway in January Right now, we're looking at January 19th for our Kickstarter launch, and we're going to be putting all of our energy into that. And then anything beyond that is top secret. I can tell you, but I have to kill you. So,
Whoa!
It'll be worth it.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Don't say that.
it'll be
Frodo's
worth
ready
it.
to die, and I can't do it without him.
we'll use your healing factor, Jared.
Oh, thank you. Great idea. I like the way you talk, Chad.
All right. So, Jeremy, what about you?
Well, I am. This is volume 1 of my comic Morningstar. It has issues 1 through 4, all of which are available on Crypto Comics, so you can check that out. I am working on the 8th and final issue of this series, and my plan is to wrap that up in 2020, and then next year I am just gonna open up my commission list and start drawing not safe for work fan art.
Okay, and where can we actually pick up that all that fan art and stuff? I got some on my wall, so I'm just saying, like, for everybody else.
Jeremy, you can go to it's GERIMI.net. That's my website, jeremy.net. Got all my comics on there. The best way to get a hold of me is to sign up for my newsletter. You'll get a free digital sketchbook just for signing up. And then I just send out a message once a month letting you know what else I'm working on, any new art I have to sell, works in progress, links to live streams that I present of my my creative process. And yes, there's a Patreon. You can support that live stream and get a bonus live stream at least once or twice a month and get to see the comics before anybody else.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right. What about you, David?
Oh, I am ready to shill. Stand by for shilling. So, I do the Dreamkeepers graphic novel series. There are currently 4 volumes that are out, and we just finished a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo for volume 5. And that actually has gone to in-demand status, which basically means you can still jump into the campaign even though it's over until we get the book finished up. There's like maybe 8 more pages that I got to draw. But so currently I'm working on Dreamkeepers Volume 5. I'm very excited about that. The readers were extremely kind to us in that campaign, so I'm pleased about that too. And I'm trying to do a lot with Vivid Publishing and move on some ways to consolidate marketing so the other creators under our umbrella can start to see traction on their books as well. And that's one thing, and this roundtable is an example of it, is we're in a very, very challenging landscape that is currently in flux, but I see some very powerful connections forming. So I think the future is good. And if I was going to leave off with one piece of advice, just never give up. We have been hit with a lot of horrible things, but if you don't give up, if you keep on swinging, just get up and go at it again, you're going to get somewhere.
Awesome.
Yay, Dreamkeepers.
Thank you.
Okay,
right,
Jan.
I just lost Bill temporarily. He will be back. Is there someone who will go first? Well, I am working on something that I can't talk about right now.
Oh my!
She slipped at the beginning, though.
There's
and it
too
was
many
great.
secrets on this panel.
Yes, no, there is. This is a big secret, and everybody cross fingers. So, but I can make an announcement, which. Well, okay, William's not back yet, but here he comes. Here he comes. So
We won't tell William if you say it.
we'll announce that we are going to put this up on the Crypto Comics Marketplace.
Oh,
Hey,
are
nice.
you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so awesome!
We decided we're going for it, so we're going to put that up.
You're so cool.
And then the other thing is that we're pushing, that we're shamelessly plugging right now, is,
There you go.
is these novel art pieces.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the Dark Crystal is bad, eh?
So what William does is he draws directly on the pages of books, and
That's so
we
cool.
go to our store, which I think is in the dealer's room during the con. Our Etsy store under William ONeal, Gentleman Nerd. There it is, Gentleman Nerd World. There are 54 different novel arts, and if you click on the novel arts link, then you can choose any 3 for the price of 2 right now.
I'm about to be so broke.
Oh yeah. See, I used to do that all the time, and the library got mad at me.
So yeah, if you click on it, it'll show you all. There you go.
Yeah. So I take I buy novels and novelizations from used bookstores. I cut pages right out of the book, and then I draw right onto that page. I sell the originals, and I also have the copies.
Wow.
The prints.
Yeah,
so cool.
Price. But the originals,
Now I just have a clarificational question just for the people like me who don't understand much. Are these on the pages of that book?
The original was.
Yes.
Yes, I would buy a novel, cut a page out, draw right onto that page, and then we would scan that into the computer and have these prints of that. But then I would also have that original version that I would then have framed, and I would sell the original from anywhere from $150 to $400.
That's so cool.
That is such a cool idea.
How come this? I'm not understanding this. Okay, we have a Star Trek, but I don't see Riker anywhere.
He drew them.
He has quite a long list of characters I need to do.
Aaron said you got to go to self-portrait.
Autobiographical work.
And what's really cool about these is they actually come in these little bags with the blackboards, so it makes an amazing gift, especially during the holidays.
Oh, that is so neat.
Nice.
That is so neat.
Like ready to give as a gift. Yeah. So that's our plug.
We saved the best for last.
I got one more plug. Just that it's a tentative announcement in that I'm going to be doing, and I can't quite 100% say, but I'm going to be having a limited edition art print coming out for a big franchise that takes place in outer space. But all the dots haven't signed. You guys know what I'm looking at. But I have
we are hoping big time for you.
Yeah,
that is
right. Well, it's happening. I just technically I'm not 100% allowed to tell you exactly what it is, but it's happening.
There's a lot of that on this panel tonight.
Yeah, it's just the timing.
All right, Darren,
you're up.
Chad, my new boo. I love you, Chad. Okay, so okay. So you guys are lucky to have me because I am an AVN nominee. That is an Adult Video News Award. So I am getting to get an award, or we are nominated for a porn award without me even having to do porn.
Are you serious?
Nice.
You got the AVN award?
Lovely.
I think
awesome.
Gun might be a little porny.
No porn here at all. It's all PG. For mainstream, there's 10 pieces. But this is all for because Stormy Daniels, we're doing this because of the mainstream. That's what the award's for. So I am super wanting this award really bad. So, but
will you be attending the awards, and do you need a guest?
Jared, come on, Jared. You know you're my boo too. Okay. But, so
wait, Bill asked that.
Yes,
that was William. But you can take me. You can take me. I'll go with you.
So 20 years ago, I started 10th Muse with Rena Miro, stable from the WWF, and now 20 years later, I am doing Stormy Daniels Space Force with Stormy Daniels. Exactly. If you ever get a chance to see her, how do I say this right? Perform her comedy show live. She is hilarious and she's pretty amazing. But we just put Tiger King 2, Electric Boogaloo, Carol Baskin approved. Yeah, just put this out. So there's Stormy Daniels 2, and we got Michelle Obama 2, and there's a lot of 2s. And Sanctuary 2, and Kamala Harris is probably one of our biggest books that is selling right now. But we do, as I said, we do a lot of biographies that are fun. But yeah, I love what I do. And
oh, you gotta be kidding me! He'll be back.
Oh,
Okay. Well,
He'll be
while
back.
we wait for him to come back, I have to do something right now because I have an opportunity to do something.
You're not going to have an
and
opportunity. He's already back.
I will regret not doing this the rest of my life if I don't do it. But Chad, I love your work.
I was totally thinking
I saw
I'm
that
like
shit.
I am a huge Queen fan. I'm like going, this is turning into a Queen album cover.
Now I can't play the audio, but you
I
can
was
sing it,
totally
and we probably won't get a
thinking that,
strike.
That is so funny.
Okay,
That is
Darren,
so
go ahead.
funny.
Finish.
I want real audio for Christmas, or not audio. I want audio control for the next one. No, so Chad, we did a Freddie Mercury comic book that we keep because we try to do evergreen comics. And Brian May tweeted it out. He loved the book that we did. So shout out to you, Chad. And thank you guys all.
Darren,
And
I
appreciate you all.
I love to do celebrity portraiture. If you ever need art, please
I
ask.
will. Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Ooh.
She's super hot.
Okay.
Connections are being made.
That actual cover is really, really, really good.
That's by Dave
Ruth
Ryan.
Bader Ginsburg. That's a really good cover.
Yeah. So people have like said, "Oh, he just copied this." He did. I've seen all the levels of his artwork, and Dave Ryan is a master. So
wow,
Chad, I can't wait to see your art. Jeremy, I love your art. Vivid Publishing.
Thank
Jeremy,
you.
other Jeremy, I want to hang out with you. And Dan, you're pretty amazing too. And you know what, Jan?
Oh.
You're my boo.
I love it.
I got boo status, Jan. I got boo status tonight.
And Bill, thanks for always being there for me. Thank you guys, and thank you guys.
Thank
This has
you.
been
I'm
great.
totally
And
thankful.
Thank you, everyone, for being on the stream. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was
Thank you
this
so
was
much,
an
guys.
incredible panel.
We were
This was an
only scheduled to go
incredible
for an
panel.
hour, but we stretched that out an extra 48 minutes, and
dear.
David here hasn't yelled at us for taking too much time during CouchCon, so I just let it go. But we should probably wrap it up. With that, everybody that's
Oh my
watching, make sure
gosh,
you
we
go
are
out.
way over time, guys.
Yeah, make sure you go out, visit all the links that we put
Blame
inside of the
Darren.
chat. They'll be there after this video is ended. Make sure you support all these different creators. Check out what they have going on. Make sure you visit couchcon.org. Check out the convention that's going this weekend. It's fantastic. And go and support creators.
And wear a
man.
mask to be safe.
Amen.
There you go.
Wear your mask to be safe.
Guys, thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Chad.
you.
Guys.
Thanks.
See you, everybody.
Take care.